Hey, we're going again with Carly Brenner-Hunter.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for driving for 2 hours to get here.
Hey, it's all good.
Yes.
It's a beautiful sunny day.
Wow.
It is a beautiful day.
It is.
It's about time.
Yeah, right? Well, it's the time change this weekend, right? So we're going to warm it up.
Yes.
We're gonna spring forward.
Yeah, and longer days, right? That's what happens here.
I think it's like supposedly less sleep, but longer days, or I don't know how it works.
That's fine with me. More sun.
Yeah, exactly.
sun.
That's what matters to me.
That's what matters. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
podcast is starting off pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the weather.
Small talk. Hey, so what?
Up here in Canada, that matters.
Well, I guess that's true. What's with the 3 names?
Modern woman, I guess. I got married, wasn't sure at the time if we were going to have kids.
Right.
My dad had passed away and I wanted my last name to carry on. So I kept Brenner.
I love that.
And then when we decided we were having a kid, I decided to add his name so that my daughter and I match. So she also has a very long last name.
That's sweet.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that's
What's your daughter's first name?
Sydney.
Sydney.
Yeah,
I
she's
love
actually
that.
named after my late dad. So
Aw.
yeah,
Cute.
thank you.
And how old is she now?
19 months.
Wow.
Amazing.
She's getting up there.
She's crazy. She's been awake every single night this week. She's got almost all of her teeth, and she talks more than I do.
Wow. Sounds like me.
Amazing. She should have been who's here today.
You know, I thought about bringing her. she'd be running around with all the cars, just going.
No, that'd be fun. No, she wouldn't. Don't touch my trucks. Okay.
You can catch Randy doing that though.
Yeah, no doubt. They've got a lot
Early mornings.
Before and after. Yeah, we had a young lady on a while back, a taxidermist, Claire. She was awesome, and she brought her hunting dog with her.
Oh yeah.
So she put up a little, what do you call that thing? Like a
Little pen,
little
like
pen
little
thing over there?
Yeah.
Oh.
And every once in a while, Adley would stand up and look into the
Yeah,
camera.
you could, yeah.
She's beautiful.
We kept saying, "Stop looking in the camera."
It's so good. So, okay, Carly, you and I know each other from the film
We
business.
do.
Can you tell us what you do?
Yeah, I do a multitude of things.
I know. That's why I didn't want to list them.
Most importantly, I'm going to say, and probably the reason I'm here is because I'm an underwater specialist. Easiest way to describe my job is I make movies underwater. And with that
Wild.
comes a huge, because we're in Ontario, we're well over-regulated. So it comes with a whole, that little green book, pages about diving services, and I have to follow all of those. So I'm a commercial diver. I'm an underwater camera operator. As of last week, I upgraded with IATSE 667 to camera operator, so I'm no longer a focus puller.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
and I'm a scuba instructor as well.
Oh my.
Wow. Well, so,
Hold on. So does the camera thing? Is it only underwater that you do?
Not anymore. So I
I see.
was a focus puller, so first assistant camera.
Okay.
above on the
Above
surface.
Water. See, I don't know.
Okay.
I assumed underwater you needed that as well.
So I do, but I use somebody else for that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I would, I guess, topside or on a dry set, I would be a camera technician or camera assistant. But now I'm a camera operator above and below.
I'm going to start
Amazing.
using the term topside.
Yeah.
Like if you take a bath,
Yeah.
you get out,
You come
you're
topside.
topside.
It's true. Technically, you would be. And if you put a tank on and you're in the bathtub, it's a commercial dive operation.
Whoa. You have to follow that silly
Incredible.
book.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
true.
no baths for me.
Only if you're getting paid for that bath, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very rare.
That's
Exactly.
true.
Well, that's cool. So I'm with Andrew. Focus pulling underwater. Who's doing that?
I work with a couple different people. To name a few, I work very closely with Lem Risso and Brent Craig, David Nardi.
Okay, but are they under the water with you?
No, they are
They're
camera
above
assistants.
water.
They're above water. They are assisting me to check the housing, basically to keep the cameras dry.
Yeah.
So I'm with them in prep, and I take care of the housing in prep. Once we go on set, they take care of everything. I'll always double check it because 4 eyes are better than 2. And then they pass it off to me, and at that point, I'm just an operator, and they're actually rolling the dial to keep
Right on. Just
everything
tip
in
your
focus.
mic up. It's just a smidgen there. Just tip it up. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Oh, yeah. So when we were on set and I see a focus puller, he's,
Yep.
on a dolly or sticks or whatever, he's right there, or he's got that little.
Yeah, now we're on a remote.
Yeah, you're on the
tree.
remote.
Yeah.
So is it remote with water?
No.
It's a hard line.
Correct. We lose all Wi-Fi or wireless capability, so
Right.
everything to the water is hardline. So I have a video line coming out. and some form of Ethernet sort of thing to the focus
Wow.
puller. Yeah.
So how deep can you go with something like this involved?
Cameras can go deeper than I can. Let's put it that way. So the deepest that technically I'm allowed to go is 130 feet.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
deep.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. I've been to 172. That was my
Yeah.
deepest dive.
Wow.
But with a camera, honestly, I'm usually in about 8 feet of water.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's all an illusion, bud.
Yeah.
So what are you normally shooting?
I shoot
when you're doing
drama.
something like this. What the hell does that mean? You're underwater.
Yeah.
What drama is going on?
I do a lot of like dream sequences where somebody's like falling back into the water.
Oh, wow.
Or somebody's on drugs and, tips over at a party.
Oh, so you're underwater when they come crashing through the surface.
Correct.
From top side in.
Yeah. Yeah. See what you did there?
I think of Will Ferrell dropping into the pool in Old School.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how many of those I've shot?
Really? Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah. Honestly, usually it's like a dream sequence. We've done a couple like fights or rescue sort of things.
Now, when you say a dream sequence, is that because so you're underwater? Are you recreating a dream, or is it a dream underwater? Or is it that the effect of the water is creating the dream sequence? Is that what you mean?
Kind of all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if someone's having this dream
Yeah.
of being underwater, do they have to pee? Is that what that is?
If the water's warm enough.
Like psychologically, I better get up.
Hilarious.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
go
I'm not
back to
sure.
your serious question.
No, that's cool. Drama.
Yeah. Yeah. I got into the underwater world. I was in the film industry first. So I was a camera assistant first.
Okay.
Incorporated all the water work into it. I basically saw my first set and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It was the set of Resident Evil 4. I was a camera trainee on it.
Okay.
And they'd actually split the camera into 2 units that day. So we had the dry or the topside unit, and then we had the underwater unit. And guess what? I was on the topside unit. And I literally just kept dropping what I was doing and running to the underwater stage. Like I couldn't get enough of it. I wasn't a scuba diver yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but at the time I was, young, single, and free. So I was headed to Thailand on a backpacking adventure. And I knew that my first stop was going to be to learn to dive. And literally first drink of air in the pool, I stood up and was like, this is me. This is what I'm doing the rest of my life. And they actually had to turn my tank off to get me out of the water.
Really?
Jesus.
Yeah. That was my
Jesus.
first pool dive.
Girl was hooked.
Thank God you got out of the water.
I could live down there if I needed to.
Wow.
Yeah, some people do it. It's
And
fun-
so
it's fun.
you got your dive license in Thailand?
I did. I got my open water advanced and rescue in Thailand.
All the same trip?
All the same trip. So I did open water advanced back to back, traveled Southeast Asia, came back to the same place, and did another week to get my rescue course.
I did mine in Tobermory. Woohoo.
I love Tobermory.
Oh, yeah, but come on.
At least you got sea shipwrecks on your first dive, right?
That's true.
Yeah, a lot of people do it in Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, total yuck.
Like to me, diving sounds amazing.
Okay.
I want to get into it.
Let's
and
get you in
I'd
the
like
water.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it in Lake Ontario. I want to do it in Thailand.
Okay, so
That's what
I'll be
interests-
training in Georgian Bay, not quite Tobermory, so it's not as far,
Right.
but still Georgian Bay. So you're still getting that crystal clear water, slightly warmer than Tobermory.
I spent a lot of time in Georgian Bay diving.
Yeah,
When I was a
I
kid.
didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Do you still dive?
No.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay, well then we'll get both of you guys in the water.
Uh-oh. No.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm so in.
Yeah, let's do it.
When you started in camera, and then it actually drove you to diving.
So I was always a water baby anyways. It was the combination of combining the things that I love. So I saw that it was possible to combine water with camera and figured out how to do it and somehow how to make a decent living doing it.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed.
Thanks.
Were you a lifeguard prior? Is
Oh, yeah.
That's what you did. Like you
I put myself through college as a lifeguard or swimming instructor.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, total water baby. I'm more comfortable in the water than I am hiking or on frozen water, also
I
known as
see.
ice. I can rescue on ice, but I can't walk on ice. Go figure. can't skate.
Yeah.
Don't like walking on ice.
So
but if
if
I'm ready to rescue somebody, no problem. I can do
Shit
it.
goes down. You're on your
I'll be
belly, sliding out to
Totally.
get them.
Yeah. And I did do that. There's a movie being released, I think, this weekend that I actually did have to do that on
Yeah,
ice.
for real?
For real.
Okay.
Yeah. We had to. I was basically called just as standby. Actually, the director is a stunt performer. And a friend of mine, Derek Barnes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek,
So-
we've been
he's
we've
got
been
his-
texting back and forth about his film coming
Yeah,
out.
he's got his
Walking
premiere
supply.
coming up.
Yeah,
Okay,
Awesome.
so we did the ice safety for that.
Okay.
And pretty much when I got to the site, Derek was like, "Don't worry, I did a site survey months ago," and I was like, "Cool," but
Yeah,
we had a
months ago.
we had a major thaw like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this is the list of things that can go wrong. Like in verbal, here is my rescue plan of what's going to happen. Okay, guys, roll camera. Oh, boom, all of that's happening. Go. And
Wow.
No
so and
way.
Derek was actually the first to act, so he like ran after his best buddy James McDougall, the actor, and he broke the ice. So they were basically supposed to like step off the ice and cross the river, and as he got to the ice's edge, it just went right through, and he went straight in instead of being able to like comfortably step through and walk across the river as planned.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he went in, not down, just in, but then his boots got stuck in the mud. That was number 2 on my list. And Derek was right behind him in this ice cold, frigid water. And I was exactly that, on my belly, angled to the ice, reaching out. And Derek was actually pushing Doogie out as I pulled him back up. And the other actor, but I forgot his name.
Wow.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Wicked.
Yeah,
Yeah, he invited us to come and see the film, but I can't make it.
I can't
He'll
make
be,
it either.
he'll be away, but
Yeah, me too.
Where are you going?
Where are we going? We're going to Riviera Maya.
Sweet.
Yes.
why would you forget
Sweet.
I was between like Playa del Carmen or
Oh, I
Coco
see.
or where
Somewhere
which,
warm.
Well, Playa del Carmen's like right over there.
There you go. So I'm going
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Cool.
Whatever. We're doing a resort. I'm not a resort person.
Yeah.
But with a baby,
Yeah.
we're going with our neighbors. They've got a kids club. We can drop the kid off and we can go diving. Bye.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
The Sydney dive yet?
Not yet, but she does have a mask. She was a scuba diver for Halloween.
Yeah, I've
you
seen
know.
her picture with her mask. That's
cute.
so cute.
She's pretty cute.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're going to Costa Rica to
Yeah.
see his
Yeah.
sister,
I'm gonna go
and then he's
Costa
going to
Rica,
Mexico.
Then I'll be in Mexico for a bit.
Right
Yep.
on. Have you been to Costa Rica before?
I've not.
Okay, it's awesome. Where are you going?
I can't wait.
Jaco.
She lives
Jaco
in
Beach.
Jaco. Yeah. My little sister, yeah, she moved there
Right on.
in January.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She'll be back and forth, I think, for work. But
Okay.
She's an art director.
but yeah,
Oh, right
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay, I shot a commercial out there, so there is an industry.
Whoa,
It's small,
really?
but it is out
interesting.
there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to Jaco. I'm going to Jaco. She lives in Jaco.
nice.
5 minutes from the beach. I'm
Do you
excited.
surf?
She does.
She does.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
makes
And I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't typically go back to places except recently, but I've been to Costa Rica 3 times. So
You'll be
it's good.
topside. You'll be topside on that board, and then you'll be.
Yeah, yeah. A bottom,
Underwater.
bottom,
I don't-
underwater,
what do you-
bottom, side.
Bottom side?
It just doesn't sound right.
underwater. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I have a million questions.
Let's
so,
do it.
Okay, so you were. What got you into camera? Did you study it? Did you go to school?
I did. I went to Niagara College for film production.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 20 years ago. My brother was an actor. So growing up, I was literally dragged to audition. Got to a point where the casting agents were like, hey, why isn't she auditioning? And we got headshots done. I never went to another audition again. It was like, I don't belong in front of the camera. That's not my forte. Through high school, I was like the director on, plays and stage manager, whatever. When we had to audition to be on the show, I was like, over there somewhere, you know what I mean? It just wasn't my thing. But if you look at my family photos, I'm not in any of them because it was always me taking them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then I
That's
guess,
quite telling.
Somehow
actually.
that doesn't seem right. Yeah, yeah. It's,
But
it's telling for
it's
sure.
telling. It's
Yeah.
and
it makes sense. I mean, I got my first camera, I think was like a McDonald's toy. It was one of those like cartridges that, it was like, I think they were 8mm film. It was that. I think it was
like
5 years old.
like a video.
No.
Like film, like
It was
8mm
film, but it was like a cartridge that you plug into
like moving pictures.
No, stills.
Oh, stills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
From
kind of wish I
McDonald's?
still had that. From McDonald's. I mean, toys were way better when we were kids, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. We're way overregulated now. They can't do stuff like that.
Oh, I know.
So then you
I know.
graduated from that, and you wanted to be a cinematographer?
You know what? End goal was always camera operator. I like to pretend, and I'm not nerdy enough to be some hotshot DP. Like I'm not there. It's not my peak interest, but I love the motion of the camera. I love capturing images. I love telling stories.
We were going to ask you to light our room.
You guys did a pretty good job.
Okay, then never mind. Moving on.
Even lighting. I don't know. I'm not
feels
a DP.
good.
So you don't DP?
I do. Like I've got a documentary coming up. I've shot a couple docs. I've shot a couple small commercials. And I call myself an underwater cinematographer rather than just operator, because I often have a say in how it's lit.
I would think so.
I shouldn't say often. Sometimes. Okay. But on the smaller projects, like I am DPing a shoot in 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. That is all me. So I'm lighting it. I'm doing all the orders. I'm doing all of that stuff. So that's exciting. So I do some small stuff, but I'm not really interested in shooting The Expanse or Star Trek. That's,
sure.
Yeah.
I understand.
Which I imagine is a whole different demon.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if your interest is diving and shooting underwater, you don't want to do that anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of lighting, how do you light underwater? Like, how does that work? The
have
water
lights.
refracts light. It bends it. And
It does. Yeah. So I won't give you away all the tricks of the trade.
no, because there's a lot of people listening right now that are going to just take your job.
Yeah. So underwater, you lose the color spectrum. So Roy G. Biv. Okay. So immediately you start losing your reds, orange, yellow, so on. Adding back that white light brings it all back. So if let's go in the ocean and you're in open water, I've got big video lights on my camera. I've got two 8600 lumen lights. They're daylight balanced to match what sunlight would be coming in.
Okay.
You can also add filters to add that color back.
Sure.
For drama, we do mostly topside lighting. But we do have underwater lights, and sometimes they're just normal lights that have a housing, and sometimes they're built for underwater.
Okay.
Is there someone in there with you ever?
Yes.
Like
often.
you have
There
a
is-
safety diver with you, right?
Yeah.
Or
So
two,
my
or-
team consists of my dive supervisor. So they're basically overseeing the operation. They're in charge of everybody's safety, whether it's diver safety or cast and crew safety. Okay. If there's any questions, they go to them. Usually comes back to me, but I refer to my dive supervisor. And then we have a dive tender who is also a rescue diver. So they've got their kit ready to go if anything should go wrong. And they're also actually holding my lifeline or the lifeline of my safety diver. And we've kind of found our way around the regulations that I usually tether my safety diver. So I'm free and nobody's controlling me. As long as he or she has eyes on me, that's allowed. Because they're now my buddy and they are tagged to the surface.
So is there a separate safety person for crew and a separate person for you? Like shit could go down if somebody...
So my spiel to the actors that I give before any stunt, any performance in the water, anything is the camera's insured. I don't give a shit about the camera. I care about you. So if
That's a good line. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, the camera's insured.
People are going to hear me say that now.
But it's true, right? If something were to actually go wrong, I don't care. I'm going to drop what I'm doing and help.
Of course.
100%. Even if it's my camera and, I treat my camera nicely, mostly. But it doesn't matter. A human life is more important than my camera.
Certainly.
So typically in the water with me is my number one. His name's Alistair. When I can get him, he's there. He's usually in the water with me. And the reason I chose him is he's also a film technician.
Did I meet Alistair on...
You met Alistair, yeah.
the way home.
Yeah, you'll see Alistair on most sets with me.
Yeah.
We work really, really well together. He does crane head tech as well.
He's a big guy. Is he a big guy?
No, he's tall.
Yeah, I'm not that tall. So.
Yeah, no, maybe 6 feet. I don't know. I don't know. But he's slim. He's not really a big guy. But he knows rigging. I mean, we both know rigging. We both know lighting. We both know cameras. So he's usually the one next to me. And when the camera's actually rolling, his eyes are on the talent. Again, if anything goes wrong or whatever, one of us is going to react. Sometimes there isn't space for both of us in the tank. No problem. He's on the sidelines, ready to go if anything should happen to me or them.
So when you're untethered and he's got eyes on you or whatever that might be, does that matter what body of water?
Unfortunately not. If there's a tank on my back, it becomes a commercial dive operation. Therefore, I need the whole crew.
Whether you're in an actual secluded tank, like in a studio.
It can be 3 feet of water, but if I have to have my face underwater and a tank on my back, we're considered commercial divers.
And at what point do you require the tank on your back and the commercial diving and all that?
Right. So it really depends on the shot.
That's a good question.
Yeah, the shoot that I'm DPing in a few weeks, we're not going commercial diving. We are doing it on breath hold. And that's honestly to save on cost.
And what's the shoot?
It's it's a fashion shoot for Fanshawe College.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited
So
about
what
it.
you're saying is that you're going to be somewhere in deep enough water that you can stand.
No, we'll be too deep to stand. So we'll breath hold. So we're using my Sony. So it's a much smaller, it's a mirrorless camera. So it's, about yay big. And I can hold my breath with that camera for probably almost a minute-ish.
Damn.
But are you not?
That's not great.
Well, it's crazy for me.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not. Water. I mean, I want to dive, but
Yeah.
mostly because
But you can breathe.
I'm not like I swim and I'm not like afraid of water, but I mean, if somebody calls me about stunt work in the water, there's a lot of questions. I don't consider myself a water guy.
Well, that's
and I
when
would
you call me and I help you answer those questions and get over those parts, right?
All right. Well, then I will.
There you go.
Thank you. That's all I was looking for was that invite.
That's why I'm
you,
here,
Carly.
right? Yeah.
So are you? No, it's all good. Are you treading water at this point? Like how?
Yeah, we would be.
Are
Yeah.
you-
So
do you have-
when we're on the surface, we would either be treading or we would have a float to help us just kind of stay there.
Yeah.
Because I'll likely be wearing weights so that I can actually descend and stay down a bit longer.
Then how the heck? Okay. Oh. Okay, so you're on the surface.
Yeah.
You're not wearing a tank. This is a breath hold deal.
Yeah.
You're wearing weights.
Yeah.
You're in a wetsuit.
Yeah.
Is it outside?
No,
course.
we'll be inside.
You're inside.
Yeah.
So it's a pool?
Yep. 8 feet.
Okay, so there is a finite depth.
Oh, yeah.
Where you
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
if you go
Max
to the
8
bottom, you
feet.
push yourself back
Yeah.
up.
Like if my hand is on the bottom, my hand is in 8 feet. So I'll
Okay.
never really be at 8 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you hold your breath, you get your shot.
Yep.
Hopefully, and then you come back to the surface.
Talk about it and do it all over again. Going again.
Going
Damn.
again. I love the
Clip.
advertising. Thank you.
There you go.
That's fascinating. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that before. The handheld.
I don't think I have.
It's pretty,
ever.
Take a
pretty
breath and-
standard for us.
Really, is that it? Yeah. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a young crew try to shoot an underwater shot through
A window.
like a fish tank,
Oh, yeah.
an aquarium. They had this massive aquarium.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
so fun. They clean on all the windows, and you got like 20 people trying to hold
They're
it down.
such a pain to operate.
It's ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous. You have to add, because it's basically an air bubble. So you've got to add, like, I think the last time I used the aquarium, we put 3 sandbags in.
yeah,
That's 75 pounds of weight to this, like, plexi box.
yeah.
It's
And then
ridiculous.
Wow.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so much could go wrong here.
Oh, so much.
You know,
going
you're
on.
you can put you lower your camera into that box, and then somebody screws up, and that thing fills with water. And
I've seen it happen.
yeah,
Yeah, not on my watch.
don't do that.
No.
It's better to just spend the cash and get somebody like yourself with that.
I totally
underwater
agree.
housing.
Honestly, I just had this conversation with IATSE 667 that, like, it doesn't cost that much more to bring me in with my dive crew. It's like, it doesn't cost that much more, because I was told that people are actually rewriting scripts to stay away from getting in the water because they're afraid of the cost. It's like another $2,000, guys. What's your problem? You
Yeah.
know, it's like, it's really not that bad.
So the cost,
Welcome to Canadian entertainment.
yeah, the
Which
cost,
we're gonna have a lot of that this year.
the
Yeah,
cost difference
I
isn't
have no
great,
doubt.
but the time difference,
The time difference is costly. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's a fair statement.
it's wicked time consuming to shoot underwater.
Yeah, everything is slow. Everything that you think is going to happen, times that by 3
Yeah.
at least. It's slow.
But there again, that's where being prepared as a filmmaker is really, really important. When you're going into a dive day, man, you better know what the hell you want, and and get it. You know.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many directors come out and be like, "Oh, but this looks really cool. Why don't we try it this way? Oh, no, wait. What if we do it this way? It's like once they see the potential of what we can do underwater, the day just explodes. I've been on very few sets that are actually storyboarded and we stick to it. Usually it's like, here's the storyboards and then go.
Well, I think allowing for creativity on the day is important.
Agreed.
You have to be willing to...
Yeah, there's an extent to that, though, right?
No,
It's
100%.
limited.
You have to bend for that director to that point.
Yep.
But you also have to be able to say, no.
Yep.
You'll never get your day.
Yep.
And that's you and your first AD. Let's have a chat because she wants something that I can't deliver today.
Yeah. And no is an answer that I have had to use on different styles of how to get the shot that they just think can magically happen, and it's not possible.
What?
Like I have to right?
Come on.
You've never heard of that before? Like I have to equalize my ears and my airspaces on the way down.
Yeah.
And I had one show that wanted Alistair to drag me down while shooting. And I was like, well, how do you want me to do this? And they're like, well, you can just do it. I'm like, no, we're going into 16 feet of water. Like there's a lot of difference there. And I need to equalize the whole way down. I need to do this, that, and the other thing. Do you want me to operate with my legs? Because I need my hands to be able to descend. I can come up, no problem. Going down is a different story. So I've had to kind of explain the physics of diving to producers because they just don't get it.
Well, it makes sense.
Can you somewhat explain the physics to me
Yes.
that you're talking about here?
Totally. So your sinuses carry air. Okay. You've been on an airplane?
Sure.
Okay. So when you go up, you feel that kind of pressure in your sinuses
Yeah.
and your ears, and they'll actually naturally pop on the way up in an airplane.
Right.
When you're going down, we're adding more pressure. Okay, so it's pushing on these air spaces, and you actually need to clear that air. So it's called a Valsalva maneuver. It's one of several ways to equalize, but you actually plug your nose lightly and exhale through your nose very gently, and it'll pop your ears.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to do that basically often as you descend underwater, and you can feel it even if you're in 50 feet of water and you're suddenly at 52, 55 feet of water, you can feel that difference, and you have to equalize again.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
If you don't, it hurts.
Oh yeah, and you can burst an eardrum or worse.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. And so you need and this is you operating a camera
at the same time as you're plugging your nose.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean it's all manageable. There's other ways. You can wiggle your jaw. You can swallow. You can yawn. All these things can help.
Yawn. Go ahead.
Yeah.
50 feet under the water.
Yeah.
It's more of a jaw stretch. But it doesn't always work that way for me anyways. So sometimes I need my hands. With my Sony, I can do it. When I'm using a Hydroflex that's, as big as I am, I need two hands to.
The Hydroflex is a housing. And
Correct.
It's quite large.
It is.
And that's what you put in like a Red or an Alexa?
Yeah, any cinema camera basically will fit in that.
All right. Now, do you have to configure that housing for that particular camera that you're using?
Every time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so basically with any, with any camera day, you have a prep day, typically. With underwater, I will not go in if I don't have a prep day, and I will not go in if my prep day is not at a camera rental house. Like I was flown out to Winnipeg, and they wanted to fly the housing and me out there and prep in Winnipeg. And I said, nope. I said, the housing's in Toronto. You're flying it from Toronto. So I will prep it in Toronto. We'll break it all down. We'll ship it to Winnipeg, and I'll do it all over again when we get there. Because if we're missing something in Winnipeg, we can't get it.
But that only makes sense.
Yeah.
And is there a filmmaker in the world that would say, oh, no, we're not doing it that way? Oh, my God.
I mean, I've been asked to do it that way.
Right, but after you've explained that, they have to allow that.
They have to. Yeah. The answer is I won't do it because I can't guarantee you that I can do my job if I don't have that prep day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I once did a job where the drone pilot didn't bring extra batteries or extra props.
Come on.
I'm not joking. And it was like an hour and a half hike into the forest.
Oh, no.
Serious.
Oh, no.
And when it tipped over and broke a bunch of props, the PA had to hike back to get them out of the car.
Oh, man.
So
Jesus.
Yeah,
anyway,
redundancies for everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything. So on that Winnipeg job, actually, there was a piece of the Hydroflex that was missing. We did have one, but we didn't have a redundancy. And if that one goes down, the entire thing goes down. And we were going up to Lake Winnipeg. So we weren't even in Manitoba. Like we were going out, right? And, we were in Manitoba. We weren't in Winnipeg. We were
Way
2
up
hours
north
north.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So Hydroflex actually shipped it overnight to us, or to the production office in Winnipeg, and got it to me on set about an hour after call. Not bad. Not bad. But had we started with that in Winnipeg, what else could have we been missing or whatever?
Was that on Polar?
No, I think it was a Christmas movie.
Another common one
No,
around in
come
Canada.
on. Christmas movies. Love them. If anybody's listening, I love them.
Yeah.
Lots of stunts on Christmas movies. Actually, I've done a couple of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's funny.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so where was I going with that though? We went off on the Hydroflex.
camera prep.
No, you're going to hold your breath to
So
shoot.
I don't hold my breath on Hydroflex.
No. Or
When I'm using the Hydroflex, I want scuba on.
Right.
It's too big of a beast for me to manage physically to actually get underwater with the Hydroflex as well.
Right.
So
Okay.
there's one scenario that I did do breath hold, and that was because, let's just say it was before my underwater company existed, and I was just the operator. And I showed up, production told me one thing, dive company said another thing. It didn't work out so well. I brought all my scuba gear. Production paid for it. I brought everything with me, and I was told I can't dive. And I was like, I'm about to shoot Kate Blanchett. What do you mean I can't dive?
Oh, fuck.
Really, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Bet Kate was pissed.
You know what? I don't think she knew. I
kidding.
ended up sitting on the housing. I actually had to sit on it and operate it below like this with the monitor like that.
Oh.
And
So you're on your feet.
no, I was in water too deep to stand. So I was actually sitting on the camera.
And it was floating.
And it was floating enough
my
to keep me just at the surface, enough that I could have my snorkel out of water and I could still see what I was doing.
Wow.
Yeah, thankfully it was like a backyard pool. It wasn't such a big deal, but like
She's sitting on a floaty.
yeah,
Totally. It's
but
like-
it was and I had to move the whole
the camera.
thing with
It looked
me.
like a
right?
little submarine.
Did it? You said it didn't work out well, but did it work out in the end because
Yes.
of that?
Yeah.
Wow. What
yeah.
a
Yeah, no,
crazy
I
hack.
definitely got the shot. I'll always get the shot. It's just
love it.
now I'm more involved in production because I have my safety company as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that was a big deal, and you had an education.
What's your
that
safety
day.
company called?
Carly Underwater Film and Safety.
Carly Underwater Film and Safety,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the housing, it has to be balanced, right? Like,
Correct. It's basically if you know anything about Steadicam, consider Steadicam but underwater.
right, but like as a scuba diver, you wear weights, but you also can add air, and you become buoyant underwater, and you don't go up, and you don't go down. Do you do that to the housing?
We do.
Okay, so
Exactly that.
So you could take the housing and just set it underwater and let go, and it may stay there for a moment.
Yep. I typically shoot slightly overweighted. And I do that on purpose, and it's so that I can literally put the camera on bottom and go deal with lighting, go talk to the director, do a couple other things.
Right.
But I also very strategically place my weights, so I might be able to pull or shift the weights depending on the type of shot that I'm getting.
Okay. It would. I've used different camera rigs, and for me, I think adding a little bit of weight adds to your ability to control that thing. If it was
100%.
okay,
Yeah.
that's what I would think.
Yeah, and gravity applies underwater. So weight is a lot lighter underwater, but it still does apply, right? So if I need to look up, I'm going to weight the camera accordingly so that it's easier on me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, holding a camera is tiring.
Yeah.
Done it.
Yeah.
Do you ever have an opinion on where to be shooting something? I imagine that they come to you and they say, "We got this tank, and this is the shot we want." And sometimes you're going, "Well, how the fuck are you going to get a shot like that with?"
Oh, I always have an opinion. It's whether
Okay.
or not I state that opinion or not.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll ask me, what the requirements would be to get the shot or whatever. And sometimes they're like, well, this is the location that we're at, deal with it. I'm like, well, we're in 5 feet of water and you want a full body from below. That's not physically possible.
Right.
Like I can't do that. 8 feet is generally where I ask to be. That's why I work at a Barrie Scuba House as well. And they've got an 8-foot pool. Hey, look at that. 8 feet is a really happy place for me. 10 is even better. 10 is great for most of my work.
Like that's the perfect amount of water.
Yeah, I've worked, there's one tank that another company owns that's basically an old shipping container. I'm trying to think if you were there on that. I don't think it was you. I can't remember who was there. It was on Dare Me.
No.
Okay. On Dare Me years ago, I think it was 2018 or 19. We were in this like shipping container tank, and I got there and I was like, what do you mean I got to get in that? Like, it was basically the size of this table, and you've got me, the dive supervisor somehow insisted on being in the water next to me, and I'm not really sure why. And then the actor, and it was like, we were in tight quarters. I've got cables coming off me. I've got tanks on my back, tanks times 2, even to be in this, 6-foot box. It was not ideal. We got the shot. We got what we needed. Had I had an opinion about that? Oh, yeah. Would I shoot in that tank again? Absolutely not. And if anybody told me that I had to, the answer would be like, why? It was also really rusty, and you could actually see the rust in the water. It was terrible.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not ideal. It was kind of like one of those circus things. Like, it had a window so people could see what... I mean, we blacked it out, but, if it wasn't blacked out, you would have been able to see what we were doing. The best is honestly when they build tanks, when special effects gets involved and they build a tank for what we have to do, because then it's purpose built. We've got the depth that we need. We've got the.
That's ideal in every case, I guess.
Yeah. That's also something with a little bit of a healthy budget here.
Yeah,
that is something.
Fair.
Yeah.
So we had a rig on Awake. I actually wasn't the camera operator on the one shot that I'm going to mention. I was. That's a whole different story that we won't get all the way into, but I did operate on that show, but not on this particular shot. But the shot ended up becoming a 2-person job because the car was tipped on its side, and it was on a hydraulic system coming in and out of the water. So it was basically that the car was going to be drowning, right? No spoilers, it's on Netflix. And it was purpose built. So they had the depth, they had the hydraulic system, they had the safety, they had, all of that stuff. This was, again, before my safety company existed. But it was completely purpose built. So it worked really, really well. Imagine trying to do something like that in open water, or even in a community center. You couldn't get a car into the pool. Right. So something like that we would need to build for.
I directed second unit on a TV series a couple 3 years ago, and we had a tank built in the parking lot of the studio.
Okay.
But it was in the middle of the winter. It was cold as hell. And we had fake ice and stuff. But we had a hot tub for the stunt guys that were doing the fight. Okay. Just offset, so they would climb out of the cold, get in the hot. But it was great.
But then they've got to get back in the cold.
Yes.
Oh, that's so much worse.
Yeah.
So much worse.
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful tank, nice and deep.
Yep.
And we got underneath and shot them falling in. It was just great.
Dare I ask who your camera operator was?
Dare I not remember?
The next time it'll be me.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't hire them, but yeah. She'll come with an opinion.
Quite possibly.
So, what are you shooting above the water?
I don't know. Good question.
What have you been shooting? And how, like, when I imagine that when you shoot underwater, this started as a personal thing, a personal hobby. You probably dive all over the world or wherever, and you take pictures and video and all this kind of stuff?
I do. So photography and we'll go with videography are total hobby world. I have sold photos. You can check out my Instagram. Everything's for sale. I just have to print it.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle?
Carly Underwater. Everything Carly Underwater, you'll find me.
Carly Underwater.
To the point that people actually joked after I got married that I would finally change my last name to Underwater. Would have been a hell of a lot easier than Brenner-Hunter. Yeah, right?
Can you imagine? So much cooler.
Yeah.
Kindergarten, what's your name? Sydney Underwater.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah. That actually sounds like an apocalypse movie in Australia.
Sydney Underwater.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is.
We're onto something.
You write it, Carly, or shoot it.
Sounds good. You can direct it.
Yeah, something like that. I'd DP for sure.
Where have you been? What do you shoot?
Yeah. So most recently, I just got back from Bonaire. I was there actually to do my PADI instructors, so now I can teach scuba diving recreationally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I love Bonaire. Bonaire is a scuba diver's paradise.
Where's Bonaire?
What's that?
As far south as you can go in the Caribbean before you hit Venezuela.
Okay.
So you've heard of the ABCs. So Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. So it's those 3 islands right at the bottom.
Aruba, Jamaica.
Right on. Yeah, that's the only one we know, though.
Because of that song. Exactly. Yeah.
I've never heard of Bonaire.
Yeah, so Bonaire is the B in the ABC Islands.
Okay, so why Bonaire? Out of all those beautiful islands.
Yeah, so Bonaire is a shore diver's paradise. So my first trip to Bonaire, I led a trip of 10 girls. That's another thing that I do is all women scuba diving trips.
Okay.
So
You should go on that, bud.
Yeah, that does sound.
Yeah, I don't think you fit the criteria.
But he might have fun though.
He might, but anyway. So
cool.
I brought 10 girls to Bonaire because we literally had an apartment and a truck and unlimited tanks, and you fill up your truck and you go. So we were doing 4 or 5 dives a day.
Wow.
Yeah, we were waking up by like 6:30.
Walking off the beach.
Literally.
Love
so
it.
think like going to a ski chalet and like rolling out of bed and getting onto the chairlift.
Yeah.
That's Bonaire for divers.
Wicked.
It's awesome.
Wow,
It's
really?
phenomenal. Yeah. So I just spent 3 weeks there. Which was,
And what do we see under there?
so with the shape, so it's mostly small. Caribbean is predominantly small things, unless you're like in, Bahamas, you get dolphins, sharks, things like that. Bonaire, you can get those, but not as common. There's a lot of spotted eagle rays. They're known for their frogfish, which is this like really weird, funny looking bright orange or yellow fish. Seahorses, anemones.
Sounds like fun.
It is fun. And they do a coral reef restoration program. So pretty well every site across the island actually has a plantation of reefs. So one of my draws to go there, the first trip, was so that I could learn how to plant new coral and help as well. So that we're not just there.
Wow.
She keeps going down these roads.
Yeah.
How
It's
do
like a
you
new hobby
plant
every-
coral? Isn't coral a living organism?
It is. So they basically my language is terrible, and this was 4 years ago. I was there like the week before the world shut down. So this was 2019 for the first trip that I did the coral restoration. They outplant. So they basically like they propagate some coral, which are animals, and they actually grow them in a lab. And when they're ready, they transport them back into the ocean, and they're on these like trees made of PVC pipe, and they're all over the place.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah. So they're these like PVC pipes with stands on them, and then they've got staghorn and elkhorn coral and now brain coral as well, growing. And then they use the program that I took basically to go through and like to clean everything, so there's no algae growth on them.
Elkhorn
coral.
coral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like-
it looks like moose antlers.
Oh, it looks like it, and that's why it's called that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Keep going.
I knew
So
where
you're
you were
like,
going. I'm not going to say
What?
it.
I don't know.
So yeah, we went in there and you kind of clean the coral, make sure there's no like fire growths on it and things like that. So you keep it clean and healthy. It's helping them out as well. So they kind of sell this course, right?
Okay.
And then the next step, which we weren't a part of, would actually be taking them off these PVC trees and actually planting them on the reef. So I'm not entirely sure how that happens.
So the PVC tree is just there as a nursery.
Correct. Exactly.
I see.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Then, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then they pull them away from there and outplant from there. Yeah, so the PVC trees are now a permanent fixture, right? And they clean those as well so
Sure.
that they can, repopulate the nursery.
This
What
is
people do with their time.
this is kind of a recent thing, right? This whole type of.
I'm going to go with at least 15 years because I first heard of it in 2015 and they were already quite well established.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So years and years and years ago, I put out a GoFundMe account. I was fresh out of commercial dive school. I had been out, like I had left the film industry for quite some time to go travel, study, whatever. And then I got my commercial dive license so I could come back. But then I was like, well, how do I get back in? Oh, I'm going to go shoot documentaries because I had in my brain that if I shoot underwater, I want to shoot in the ocean. Yeah, so I actually put out a GoFundMe account years ago to try to raise money to go to Bonaire to work with the Coral Restoration Foundation on a documentary. Needless to say, I raised, I think, about $750 and bought some dive gear out of it. So at least I got somewhere with it, but obviously not my movie. And then I guess a year or two later, Chasing Coral came out on Netflix, which is basically what I wanted to do, but without all of that science and knowledge background. So I guess
Chasing Coral.
Phenomenal
I think
documentary.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
And is it in Bonaire?
No. I honestly don't remember where. I want to say some Australia, maybe South Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I had reached out to Buddy Dive in Bonaire and the Coral Restoration Foundation, who has a home there, about all of it. And so I ended up there in 2019. And then this year, when it came to doing my dive instructors, I kind of knew the shop, I knew the location, I knew the instructor. So that's how I chose to go back to Bonaire. Like I said, I don't usually go back to places. Bonaire's heaven.
Wow.
Yeah, you're sort of selling it.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's easy. Sounds like it's an easy sell.
Sounds like a diver. You said diver's paradise or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine a reason to go back.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Totally.
So
cool.
So now this is where you got your PADI instructor's ticket.
Yep.
Is that what you call it? A ticket? License.
Ticket, license, certification.
And now you can teach other people, like just regular civilians.
Correct.
How to scuba dive.
Yeah.
And what do they get from your course from that?
So the first course, there's 2 options that you could take. To start would be a Discover Scuba Dive if you want to try scuba diving without like investing in the course. So like I think it's $100 at the shop. You go in the pool for 2 hours. You learn the basics. If we were in Tobermory, you could do it over the shipwrecks. It's basically a confined, very controlled dive. The next step would be open water. And at that point, you actually get certified. So it's approximately a 5-day course, depending where you are. You do your e-learning, and then you go in the pool for 5 dives, and then open water for 4 dives. And that certifies you to dive to, I believe, 60 feet. So you can take that anywhere in the world at that point and say, hey, here's my PADI card. I can go diving.
And they can fill your tanks.
Correct.
When I was a kid, we used to go to a lot of Georgian Bay.
Yep.
Penetanguishene, and the fire department would fill our tanks. It's so great.
Really?
They had a cascade system. We just go in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah,
awesome.
I don't think they
They
would
don't
anymore.
do that anymore. No. Can you
No.
imagine the liability?
Yeah, right.
No.
Well, I think I've said it a few times. Ontario is very overregulated. Yeah, so that would be crazy.
Interesting. Okay, so if someone's listening to this right now, and they're within reason local to the Toronto area, where do you teach?
I'm at Barrie Scuba House.
Barrie Scuba House.
Which is great because we've got a pool.
Do they have a website, barriescubahouse.com?
I believe so. Yeah, and you can specifically ask for me. And the whole reason I got my instructors, I never wanted to instruct, right? I didn't want to do this like over and over and over. You do the same dives, you're just teaching all the time. The more women's trips that I lead, the more courses people are taking on these trips. And it's like, well, why aren't I just teaching them if I'm on the trip, put the money in my pocket kind of thing.
Sure.
But I also have guys like you, the Toronto film industry, people come to me all the time. Hey, Carly, how do I learn to dive? And for the last 10 years, I've been referring them elsewhere.
Right.
Why am I doing that?
Fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. Totally fuck that. So anyway, with advice of many people and of, friends in the industry going, well, I'll only do it if you're there. Okay, well, now I can be there. So I've got a huge list. I'm really excited. I've got like a bunch of grips coming out to train to scuba dive.
Awesome.
And that also helps me, right? Because if I train them and I need somebody to help rig in the pool, as long as they're not on a tank.
Sure.
Right? If they can breath hold a little bit, I've done tons of pool blackouts on breath hold.
Yeah.
So I can now have certified grips.
Yeah.
In the water.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Tying the blacks off.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And you foster a great deal of trust when you're on set. I know this.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that they're calling for you. I can only imagine that happened. No, it's just fact.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's great. So I know somebody that's going up to Barrie to go scuba diving. Huh? Don't we, Andy?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
man.
right. Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you ever do cave diving? You ever have any interest in something like that?
Not yet. So I'm headed to Riviera Maya next week.
Yeah.
On a family trip. But I'm going to say bye-bye to the family for a total of 2 days. 2 out of 7 is not bad. Because they've got cenote diving. And I haven't been...
Cenote?
Cenote. So cenote is like, it's a... how do I explain it? It's like a freshwater, very open cave system. So it's completely recreational. There's no special training involved, except that you know that you're going into a cave, but it's rather large. It's not like with the stalagmites and, tiny spaces you have to fit through.
Right.
So it's almost an introduction to cave diving, I suppose. A photographer's dream. I can't wait, except I'm going to need more luggage just to be able to bring all my gear and the baby supplies. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But so I haven't gotten into it yet.
It sounds scary.
Tech diving is where I'm going, though.
There's a
claustrophobic
thing going on with this cave.
The cave diving. Well, in all
as
the,
soon as
the
you
silt
mentioned
and all that.
Well, as soon as you mentioned the little spaces with the stalagmites and stalactites, I could feel my chest tighten. I'm going. I don't think I want to be in there.
So when I was on Bonaire, one of the last certifications that I did towards my instructors was to get my rec diver instructor. So I've been diving wrecks for years in Georgian Bay and Tobermory. But there's a proper way to do things, which I had never really done before, because the wrecks that I go on are like, they're old ships. You can swim around them. Cool story. There's one that was purpose sunk for diving, so you can penetrate it no problem, because there's exits and entrances all over the place. You can always see
designed for it.
Exactly. But with PADI, if you're going to be a wreck diver, you're going to learn to use your reel properly, meaning that you're actually laying a line from start to finish, so that you can always literally hold on with like that, with a finger and a thumb, and follow that line all the way there and back, so you can never get lost. So
that's the hopeful idea.
Hopeful, yeah. So on Bonaire, there's one wreck, and I would bet you $1 million that most people don't know that how deep into this wreck you can go, and that you can penetrate it, and you cannot see out, and there's no way out. You're only going out the way that you came back. So it was really neat, because it was the first time that I actually went through a very small opening that was literally cut for a human with a tank on the rack. That's about it. And wrapping these lines basically every, I'm going to go with like 4 to 8 feet, anywhere that there's a point that you can wrap this line, so that you know that it's taut and straight. And there's a very specific direction to tying the line, so that it's always straight and there's no snags in it. So I did that, and so the wreck is called the Hilma Hooker. So
this is taking my breath away just talking about it. I'd be under there. I'd be out of air by the time I got to the second pay.
Yeah.
So it was the first dive in a very long time that when we finally surfaced almost an hour later, my tank was in the red.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So the wreck is called the Hilma Hooker. So the joke on Bonaire is that I penetrated the hooker.
Love it.
Yeah.
I wish I would have saw that.
I was trying to think of something.
There's t-shirts, there's, the whole thing. So of course I got back, and we had like a WhatsApp group with all of our, everybody in my course. And I was like, hey guys, I penetrated the hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a million. You can go down on the hooker. You can whatever. You can keep going.
This is good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, so that was, I guess, my closest to legit cave diving. I mentioned tech diving. So tech diving is getting more into mixed gases and potentially rebreathers. I think Tig mentioned this on his day as well. That's more intense than I've done. Years ago, I was invited to a tech course. It was with a underwater DP predecessor to me years and years and years ago. He's not a commercial diver, so he kind of got pushed to the sidelines a little bit. Needless to say, he put a shout out online or whatever, looking for divers that want to shoot documentaries. All right, well, this was 2015. I've been in the film industry on and off for 10 years. I've just come out of commercial dive school. Hey, let's do this. This is exactly what I want to do. He never took me seriously. He called me Carla. Could not get my name right. No matter how many times I told him my name was Carly.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, just fix it. Yeah. No matter how many times I told him my name was Carly, he called me Carla. He called me a film student. And I was like, okay, bud, I've been in this industry for 10 years already. Like yes, I just graduated commercial dive school, but I'm not a film student. You know what I mean? It was quite insulting at that point. And
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and he was offering these tech courses for like $400. And he wanted us to pay for our own gas to go on the boat for him to shoot his movies. And it didn't sound good. And a few days later, Rob Stewart went missing. Do you know who Rob Stewart was?
No.
No.
Sharkwater. Heard of Shark Water? No? Okay.
No.
So Shark Water is a documentary.
We don't get out.
Yeah.
You guys don't watch movies? So Shark Water is a documentary by a Toronto filmmaker, Rob Stewart.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Now you guys know who he is.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. So he's he passed away on I guess this was 2015, early 2016 maybe. While I was in discussions about learning tech diving, and he died on a rebreather. He was a rebreather instructor, but he was diving new gear. He screwed up. So did his instructor, and he went missing.
Whoa, man.
3 days later, they found him. I have heard a lot of the stories as to what they think actually happened, but there's still legality things, so nothing is in print. I basically called this group back and was like, I'm pulling out. I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting mixed up with you guys. If I'm going tech, I need to know and trust my instructor, and they need to respect me as well. And you guys don't do that.
I imagine that others have felt the same way about like the same thing. And I would imagine that this group of people have kind of, like you said earlier, been sidelined based on this.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I kept in touch with a few of the members of this group that were all kind of there for the same reasons. I kept in touch with them for a little while, and one of them reached out and was just like, oh, this just happened. Like, he was very cryptic about what had happened with that group, but basically told me that he had to walk away as well. So I'm pretty thankful that I did.
Good call.
Yeah. So now I've got a couple tech instructors in mind. 2 divers who I totally know and trust and adore and are very well known in my industry. But Barry Scuba House does tech. So my new boss is a tech instructor, and he's going to teach me. So
sweet.
Keep it close to home.
So I know a couple guys who are commercial divers, and they do the deep sea stuff.
Oh.
And now they work in special effects in Toronto. And
who are they?
We'll get there.
We gotta get there.
But they talked, and I didn't know this, and it's fascinating. They use helium. Mm-hmm. That's great. It's so fun. You can go on, for those listening, go on YouTube, look up helium divers, deep sea divers, and they talk like this.
Yeah. So that's not only the helium.
Well, now they're not watching the podcast. Thank you for that.
Yeah, they're changing the channel. Yeah. No, but so, see, I don't know.
So, when one of the first days of commercial dive school at Seneca College, we were put into the hyperbaric chamber, basically as a pressure test, to make sure that our bodies could handle being around 100 feet of water, which is 4 atmospheres or so. So it's compressing us, right? And all of a sudden you're talking like this. And I was sitting in this compressed bubble with one of my instructors and another classmate and was like, why am I talking like this? I've never heard this before. I've been on a million dives. Why am I talking like this now? We were compressed on air. Your vocal cords are compressed.
Sure. Okay. So that makes sense. I figured that's what's happening.
Yeah. I had no idea.
But these guys, do they not, they pressurize. Mm-hmm. They're taken down in a dive bell. Mm-hmm. They're pressurized. Yeah. They live there. Yeah. They live there for weeks at a time.
They do.
And they get paid huge amounts of money.
They do.
So they're pressurized at that depth, and then they go out of the bell, go do their job. Mm-hmm. There's a video on YouTube of a guy working on a rig underneath the ocean, and a shark is biting his leg, like chewing on this guy, right? And they, hey, I think there's a shark on me. And it's actually hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Somebody said, you
awesome.
better look behind you. And there's a friggin' shark. And he's talking like a chipmunk. It's so funny.
Yeah, that's great. I would love that.
Yeah, I suppose. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating.
I guess it depends on which shark is nibbling on your leg. But
yeah, it wasn't a big one.
Yeah.
But it surprised him.
Yeah,
and he
fair.
just kind of pushed it away.
Yeah.
Get off.
Get out of here.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You
That's
look
great.
it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So what's a rebreather?
Okay, so a rebreather has SCUBA.
Yeah.
Let's go backwards. SCUBA is a self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Right.
It has an exhale. So when you breathe in, you exhale, your bubbles come out of here, goes back into the water. It's just air. Okay. On a rebreather, you've got hoses coming off your back all the way around. One side is your inhale, one side is your exhale. So it's like breathing off of your tank, it's coming in this way, and then when you're exhaling, it's going out that way. And it's actually going into, they're called scrubbers. and it's actually, I don't know everything about it because I'm not there yet.
Sure.
But it's actually scrubbing the carbon dioxide that you are exhaling out and adding oxygen or air content back to it so that it can be recycled and you can breathe it again. Rebreathe it.
Very cool.
And there's no bubbles.
Now so is there's got to be an advantage
Huge.
to the rebreather shooting film
Oh yeah.
than bubbles in your face.
Right. So for my purposes, because for now I'm shooting drama, the bubbles are annoying, but they don't get in my way.
Right.
If you're shooting wildlife, they're afraid of the bubbles. So if you don't have any bubbles, you can get right up close. I took a beautiful photo of Fabien Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau's grandson, on a rebreather next to a turtle like this. And I couldn't get that close. The turtle got scared when I came closer because I had bubbles. So is there an advantage?
Oh,
huge.
Wow.
Huge. You can literally get right up in the face of any marine
I'm imagining
species.
that this is why this thing was invented in the first place.
Correct. Yeah. You can also you can bring different gases and things like that to allow you for more bottom time. So for more bottom time, so you can stay underwater much longer.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, like
it's the opposite of topside.
Right.
I'm not gonna let
bottom
that go.
time, topside. Yeah, that's a good way. So like the tech divers at my shop, they can go underwater for like 3.5 hours, whereas I'm pretty limited to around an hour, depending on the temperature of the water.
Oh wow!
Because my tank will actually run out. Theirs doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you often under the water for any longer than an hour when shooting anything?
I'm often in the water for longer, but not underwater.
Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense. Like my longest day in the water was about 16 hours.
Jeez.
With a lunch and a couple pee breaks. You get very dehydrated, so the pee breaks were less and less.
Don't you just go pee?
Yeah, and eat fish.
In the ocean, sure. In the pools, I try not to.
This is too salty.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, I mean, I've been in situations where I've had actors in the water, and then I needed my divers close for the comfort level of the actor.
That's fair.
And they had to get underwater to get out of the shot.
Right.
But their
got
bubbles weren't out of the shot.
Oh.
True.
So those the rebreather thing is pretty neat.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd have to again back to the whole regulation thing. I'd have to find out where rebreathers lie in the commercial dive world in Ontario. Yeah, because it becomes a whole different beast.
Yeah, but man, for shooting film.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got quite a few rebreather friends who shoot wildlife and who shoot doc. And I don't because I'm not on a rebreather, I guess. I also, like, my priorities have kind of changed, right? I kind of fell into the drama world because I was already in it. And now that I have a family, staying home isn't the end of the world to me. I'm pretty happy at home.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, I like to get away, but...
Yeah.
Well, you got a bathtub, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a little small to put a tank on. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
No, but at least I've got the lake just down the road.
Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah,
true
absolutely.
too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You come from lake country.
I do. That's why we chose Innisfil.
You know, now when I'm on set and if I have a stunter or an actor or somebody going in the water, you know, I speak to my safeties and my diver and whoever's there, but then I sit there and I wonder to myself, man, it's fucking cold day. What a shit day this would be if my diver has to jump in. How often is the diver thinking to themselves, I really don't want to dive in?
So Randy, you remember that night?
Yeah.
That night.
Yeah, on the way home, there was a pond, and we were literally watching the ice just freeze as it was coming closer to us.
They had to jump in the pond,
God.
and they're literally breaking the ice.
Like the pond that I'm aware of?
Yeah.
Oh,
Andrew was there on the same
Oh, okay,
side.
there you go. Yeah, we were actually watching the ice creep across the lake, and we were throwing rocks and stuff at it to break it up because it wasn't in the last shot.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
of course, I had Alistair in his dry suit, and I was in my floater suit, so I could be on the edge and let him go in.
Okay.
See, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You got to own
might
a company,
be,
right?
You might be the one that's thinking, I don't want to go in there. So you make him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm the boss.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but to answer that question truthfully, I typically carry literally a duffel bag of exposure suits. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. If I have to go in, I'm going in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was a night a few weeks ago, I was on a low budget film, a little slasher movie, and it was an overnight. It was the night of the snowstorm last week.
Oh.
And
Yuck.
by 6 a.m., they're like, okay, Carly, you're up. And I'm like, what? Really? And I attempted to get in the water, and the homeowner had turned the heat off on the pool, and it was bitter. And they're about to send an actor in. Now, to be clear, I had gotten the shot the night before, but they wanted a topside shot as well and get it the same underwater. And I looked at them. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going in right now. Like it's freezing. You guys told me it was a certain temperature. It's not. It's also 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been sitting and waiting for this shot for the last 12 hours. I'm good.
They told you one thing, and it's not that.
And it wasn't that. And I'm like, and you guys got my shot last night. And I looked at the stunt coordinator. I'm like, am I wrong here? And he's like, no, don't get in the water. I got in the water just to pull the lights out. Literally kept my head above water because it was that cold. And the poor actor had to fall in, and she did great. But she was acting, and she could play. Well, she couldn't really play the cold because she was supposed to be dead. So maybe it would take the shock, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, they had gotten my shot the night before, so it wasn't a big deal. But I actually put my foot down. I'm like, I can't breath hold for as long as you guys are going to need it. Plus, you've got a camera on top. I'm going to be in their shot too. Like
that water will take your breath away.
Yeah, it would. It really would. It was really that cold. So it just...
Wow.
And I didn't have my collection of wetsuits because I had been at the pool the day before and it was hot. Right? So I didn't need all of my gear, so I didn't have it all with me.
And they told you one thing and it wasn't that.
And it wasn't that. And at the end of the day, I'm like...
Well, you have the right. Anytime that happens. You know.
Yeah. And it wasn't even a safety thing. It was... honestly, I was a little bit moody. But we had gotten the shot the night before and it was... Everything had changed.
Well, this just changed too.
Yeah.
We've never had such honesty on the podcast.
I mean, it's fair, right? Like you said, they told you one thing and everything had completely changed.
Yeah.
And I was going to be in their shot. I was going to be in the way and then I was going to be cold. It just wasn't worth getting in for, really.
Right.
And I saved them a bit of money too because I didn't charge them for my camera for that night because I didn't use it. Right? So,
Yeah.
They got a little win.
Situation.
Yeah. But typically, I'm there literally with a bag of wetsuits or dry suits. One of my first music videos that I operated on, it was a Shawn Mendes music video in 2015, I guess it was that summer. And I was told outdoor heated pool. Great. I show up. It was in a picture car lot off Victoria. I'm sure you guys have been there.
Picture car lot off Victoria.
Yeah. Victoria Park.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I'm sure I was.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been there before. Anyway, they built a pop-up pool. They'd craned a car into it, and we were going to be shooting in it. When I showed up to set at, 7 a.m. or whatever, they were just filling the tank. So despite it being 42 degrees Celsius that day, and now in a hot parking lot, it was coming off of a cold water truck. And my dive supervisor literally looked at me and went, Brenner, where the fuck is your dry suit? I'm like, what do you mean, where's my dry suit? I was told it's a heated pool. It's the middle of August. Why would I bring my dry suit? I showed up with a 1 millimeter wetsuit.
Whoops.
So I got in the water, whatever, started the shot. But before all that, I called home, said to my husband, I was like, okay, this is where my dry suit is. I need you to get it all together. I need you to find every wetsuit possible that you can possibly find in my stash and put it on the front step. Somebody will be by to pick it up. And we sent a PA to my house to go pick up everything I own. And by the end of the day in a dry suit, I was cold because that's how cold I was sunburned on my face and my body was freezing because the water was that cold. So that was one of my first shoots. So since then, I show up with everything.
Yeah.
Experience is the best teacher.
Totally.
100%.
Totally.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it can really fluctuate of what they tell you. And I mean, you guys know what they tell you is one thing, and when you get there, it's
100%.
always something different.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared. You got to go with the flow.
Totally.
Within reason.
Within reason. Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can always say no. If something is genuinely unsafe or not cool,
100%.
I say no.
Or just genuinely not at all what they were planning I mean, you know, things change, of course.
Totally.
But
I mean, I get to set often too, and they don't end up using me. They have all of these things planned for me, and they don't use me. All right.
Oh,
cool.
we do that as stunt performers,
Yeah,
stunt
all the time.
coordinators. We have stuff
Yeah,
that's supposed to happen and doesn't happen. That's whatever. But if they tell me something's got to happen, or this is the way we're doing it,
Yep.
we get there and that's not the way they're doing it, and it is a safety concern for anyone, no, that's just over.
Exactly. I've met a couple stunt coordinators now that I don't have that philosophy, and that blows my mind. I worked with somebody, I honestly don't remember her name, so I can't say it anyways, who told me that she's not allowed to ask questions. She doesn't ask questions. The answer is always yes. And she told me about all her injuries and all this and that. I'm like, why would you put yourself through that? Like, I understand that you need to do your job, but there's a right way to do a job. And, you know, you guys are, your jobs blow my mind.
your
Like, you guys
answer
are.
is always yes.
Just
Always.
a second. I'm reeling right now.
As to who it is.
No, not. I don't care. Who
I
it is,
am.
To be honest. Well, yeah, I suppose.
I can probably look it up later and we'll tell you off the air.
But yeah, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
That just seems like a wacky
She said
theory.
she shows up, she's not allowed to ask questions, and when she does, like, she's told, well, you're doing it anyway, and she just has to do it. And I'm like, that doesn't.
This is a stunt coordinator.
Yeah. And normally, as Randy knows, I talk up the stunt coordinators. You guys bring me out. You guys have a say if I get hired sometimes.
Sure,
To her, I was just like, cool, lovely to meet you. And I walked away.
Yeah. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
That's insane.
one of the most common questions asked of any stunt performer, I'm sure, in an interview is, have you ever been hurt?
Yeah.
So I always preface my answer by telling that person that when a stunt performer brags about the injuries they've sustained over a period of their career, they're just telling you the number of mistakes they've made.
Good answer.
So I'd really rather just not tell you.
Right.
If you and I were in a personal conversation,
Yeah.
sure, I could tell you maybe a few things that might have happened to me.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Well, you just said experience is the best teacher too. So
There
a
you
lot
go.
of those mistakes you're going to learn from to get to where you are today.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's a really hard way to get there, but it's
Always.
it does happen.
It takes shit going south for anybody to learn anything, or that's also why we're so overregulated.
Yeah. So speaking of overregulated, in some cases, you don't ever want to be overregulated, I suppose. But with the Rust incident from whatever time it was, a year or two ago, whatever it was.
Just over a year.
Yeah. If these people go to prison, there won't be a Hollywood actor willing to hold a real firearm on set firing because of their exposure legally. It's just too wide open.
Yeah.
But I mean, a simple contract covering ground as long as they do the groundwork getting there.
Right.
Like,
But see,
But isn't that where it already went wrong?
Yeah, somebody was negligent.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but now, see, somebody was negligent, but in Alec Baldwin's personal situation, based on, I mean, I don't want to say anything that's not true, but based on what we were hearing recently, he skipped a gun safety
Meeting.
class or meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if somebody signs a contract that says I'll be at that class,
Right.
and then the class happens, and blah blah
and
blah.
He wasn't there.
Yeah, and see if he's not there, then then screw you.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you should have fucking been there, and you should have never held that gun, because now
Agreed.
you're just a dude with a gun.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
But also, how did a live round end up in that gun?
Oh, that's another
That's a
question.
whole other ball
I
game.
mean, I would say that it's the person who loaded the gun, but he also never should have. You're absolutely right. If he didn't show up to a class about or talk about the safety, like we've been on set with millions of guns. I've been down the barrel when a gun has been held like that. I've been hiding behind a camera, whatever,
yeah,
you know,
Certainly.
not only once, quite a few times.
Yeah.
And how do you know? But we're all there when we're, told, explained, shown that they're blanks, or I don't even think we're allowed to use blanks anymore, isn't it? It's just like air caps or
Well,
something.
we can use
No,
blanks.
we can use
Can
blanks.
we? Okay.
Yeah, we shot Mayor of Kingstown a year ago.
Yeah.
And we used tens of thousands of blanks.
A
hundreds of
ridiculous amount of blanks with a ridiculous amount of guns.
Not a single incident.
Not
There you
even
go.
close.
And that's the way it should be.
Exactly, because we were prepared and we had some incredibly talented, responsible professionals.
Yeah.
But it takes just like one stupid mistake
So
for a whole whack of shit to have to change.
absolutely.
And I don't necessarily think it needs to. You know, I mean, the guys out of Toronto that I work closely with all the time are being asked about all their safety precautions now. What do you do? What do you do? How are you going to make it safer? Well, we're not the problem. We were never the problem. We've been making it
you
safe.
can't make it safer when you've been
When it's
always
already safe.
Yeah, when it's already so safe, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
But so the reason I brought it up was dealing with your industry, is that you're told this is going to happen. When you arrive, and it's not what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
therein lies the safety issue,
Yeah.
and you have every right to say no.
Yeah.
And no one should ever balk at that because they promised and it wasn't what it was.
Right.
So, but I'm still reeling about a stunt coordinator saying that to you.
Do you know the reason I own Carly Underwater and how I opened? I was put in danger. I was literally thrown off of a boat and told, Brenner, get in the fucking water, and pushed into the water by my dive supervisor. When I looked at him and said, and I was trying to be professional about it and only use the word, this is silly. I'm not getting in. This is ridiculous. Like, there's no way that I'm getting in that. And he actually threw me in the water. I was nearly killed. All that I could think was I'm going to be the next Sarah Jones.
Oh my.
It was terrifying. It was, my heart goes every time I tell this story. So I kind of made a vow that I wouldn't work with another safety company. If I'm going to be in the water, I need to know that my crew's got my back and that I've got their back. And if I'm going to be putting myself into these somewhat potentially dangerous scenarios, I need to know that there's crew there that can rescue me, that can rescue the crew, the cast, whomever it be. I want to be, it's not even a control thing. It's just, I want to know who's watching my back. And that company didn't have my back. And the next day they called and literally harassed me about it for me trying to refuse the work. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you call the Ministry of Labor? I'm like, I was in the middle of Lake Ontario. I didn't have my phone on me. My phone was on shore. Like, and he physically threw me in the water. 10-foot swells. The boat was going like this, up and down, up and down. I had my fins on the hull of the boat. My whole body's going up and down with the boat, so I'm not getting eaten by this boat. It was terrifying. We pulled the plug, obviously.
Jeez.
And we ended up shooting just around the corner in a nice, quiet, protected bay. It was fine. We got everything we needed. It was beautiful. We didn't have to be in 10-foot swells. I'd even gone to the producers that morning and said, hey guys, I'm watching the wind. You've got me scheduled to go around 1 p.m. It's 8 a.m. right now, and by noon, you're not going to get me in the water. And they went, no, we're going to stick to the schedule. And I was like, guys, you should really reassess. And they wouldn't. So between production and the dive team, I was put in danger. While trying to say no, and nobody would listen. So, even when you do try sometimes, people are pushy. I don't like to play the girl card, but I'm a little girl, and people stood on top of me and literally pushed me in. And now I own a company, so that can't happen again.
That's good. And you have to have the confidence to say, fuck you.
Yeah, and at that point, I was still so new and still trying to get in with the big boys, you know? And so I was that yes man. And I tried to say no, and I didn't have the right words because I was trying to be professional about it. And I should have just looked at them and said, fuck off, I'm not getting in the water. And I didn't do that.
Right.
So
experience again.
Another hard
teaching.
lesson, yeah.
Totally. Thankfully, one of the rescue boat actually did come up behind me against the other crew's wishes, which was crazy. And one of them ripped me out of the water. And yeah, it was pretty terrifying. It was really awful. But
it's a wonder that following the Sarah Jones incident on the bridge and Alec Baldwin's, that there are still filmmakers deciding to cut corners and do this, do that. It's crazy, man. I did a thing once, and I was directing, and my producer was yelling at me because our permit was over, and I turned to the cop and I said, "Okay, if we do this, who goes to jail?" And he says, "The guy that's going to call action." I said, "Thanks. It's over." You know, because it was a big deal that we were going to do, but we didn't get to it on that day, so we
there you go.
screwed that. I'm not going to do it.
100%.
Anyway.
I'm sure everybody stood by you for that. They were probably like, but did you work the next day? Probably.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm still reeling.
Yeah, I find that insane.
Yeah, it was.
Insane.
But let's be real. Now I own my own company. I've got really cool crew. I work all the time and happily, and I like to think I have a good reputation. So, the times that I have said no are worthy.
Is it carlyunderwater.com?
Mm-hmm.
carlyunderwater.com. Whoever wants you can call you.
Totally.
You
can get a hold of me through there.
Perfect.
Social medias, everything. Carly Underwater, you'll find me.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not closing off. I just
No,
wanted to say it again.
Oh,
Wow. Your people were great.
Thank you
for working for me, and we did that one commercial together. You were
We've done
a few things, but I don't remember what it was. We were in a big pool in Toronto, and
we were a BMO commercial maybe. BMO, no frills.
No idea.
Sobeys.
I
don't know.
I do so many.
I know, and I've been to that pool several times too. I think that was the first one I met you on anyway.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Was it though the dude's taking the drink and falls back?
No, it was a kid jumping off of a diving board because I had to help her jump.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. She was like a 5-year-old girl that had never jumped off of anything aside from just the side of the pool, and they wanted her up higher.
You just pushed her off?
I just threw her in the deep end. Yeah.
The best thing.
No, actually, I caught her in the deep end.
You gotta.
I let her jump to me.
You got to get a kid that's not ready, and then just push.
Yeah.
Yeah, just rip like my husband says, just rip the Band-Aid off. She doesn't want to go to bed, just drop her in there. She'll be fine.
Absolutely.
It's so cool that we just had that conversation after the other one. Jesus. Like we just turned around.
No, with that commercial, I remember talking to the little girl, getting her to jump and dive off the side of the pool, and baby steps work up to that.
100%.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what we do.
One of my jobs, one of Andrew's jobs as a stunt coordinator is to foster confidence in an actor that they can actually do this.
Yeah.
Because we get so many people. I did a show up north, and we had actors having to fall in the water, get shot, fall off boat, fall off the dock, whatever. And they were a little apprehensive, and rightly so.
That's fair.
But you work with them, and
yeah, but then you get things where, like I did a commercial. Oh man, it's too big of a freaking story, but it's just basically an actor who had no athleticism whatsoever. They basically loved his smile, and that's why he's there. But they needed him to jump off a trampoline, and they needed him to run along a deck, maybe this height, onto a trampoline at the same height. And off the trampoline, he's looking up like this, as if he's grabbing something in the air. And they actually, with CGI, they're going to make him fly.
Right.
And he not only has he like literally never seen a trampoline in his life, but he didn't even know how to run along the deck. Whatever confusion you have on your face right now is as real as it was for the whole crew.
I'm not surprised though. Yeah.
We went to do a 4-hour rehearsal, and it was 16 hours or something in a rehearsal day that was longer than the shoot day. I can't remember for sure, but God, it was unbelievable. The whole day was just me trying to teach and help this guy and give him the confidence and, let's do this, baby.
Yeah.
And, oh my God.
I was safety on a commercial years ago up north in the Muskokas, and it was over Halloween. It was beautiful. Like, just the foliage was amazing, but then it started snowing too. So like, it was weird, but it was a 4-day commercial. There's only one day on the water. They brought us up in hopes to say, travel on a Monday, we're shooting on Tuesday. We show up, we have to go straight to stunt rehearsals. And apparently I'm the stunt coordinator. They told me when I arrived.
Really?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. It wasn't actress, so they didn't require one of you guys, right? They brought in an actor from New York for a Canadian paddling commercial. The girl from New York has never been in a canoe before. She's never held a paddle before, but she's got the look, right? So we get into the lake and we, start paddling. Well, now the dog wrangler comes down and he's adding 2 dogs to her canoe. And I'm like, whoa, like let's get her paddling before we add some dogs into the canoe that might shift and throw her overboard, right?
Yeah.
Needless to say, the weather was crap.
Of course.
So we were supposed to shoot on the Tuesday. We ended up shooting on the Friday. So we ended up with 4 rehearsal days, and every morning we got her into the canoe. Okay, and the wind was coming from the north, so we were actually somewhat protected. So it was okay. She could not, in 4 days, I could not get her to paddle straight. Okay, no matter what we were doing. And I mean, I've done a fair amount of paddling. I'm not an instructor, but I can get somebody paddling if I needed to. Could not get her to go straight. She was just going in circles, no matter what we tried.
Really?
Yeah. And so now the day comes around, the wind shifts to the south, and now we're getting pelted with white caps. First thing in the morning, the producers are like, so what are the chances of her doing the shot? I'm like, slim to none. Here's the wind app. I'm looking at the wind and we're getting progressively worse. Like, yeah, it was snowing yesterday, but you guys could have shot here. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They ended up doing motorcycles and slipping and sliding everywhere, and people were getting hurt instead of coming out to the water where it was flat. So then they looked at me and they're like, well, you've got curly hair. We'll get you in her wardrobe. Can you paddle in that? And at first I was like, well, maybe around 2 p.m. But like right now, no, like I can't paddle in this either. Like it's crazy out there. Around 2 p.m., it literally calmed down enough for me to still say no to putting the actor in. But they were like, okay, Carly, just sign here. And they put me in her wardrobe, and now it's me paddling through the commercial.
Dang. Wow.
4-day rehearsal, we couldn't get it done.
Wow.
It was she was, so it's, the shocked face, I get it. I totally get being thrown talent that just has never done what you're attempting to do. But running? I don't know.
I mean, I've been on so many commercials where a producer has come up to me and said, Andrew, with these people that we hired, they can't do what's going on, I mean, we talk about this stuff all the time, but we can't seem to get, do you have any advice on what? And I always say the first piece of advice is, my advice is long gone. It was, you had it when I said to cast properly.
That's right.
And then you didn't. Yeah. You just didn't.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
But you can also get pleasantly surprised. We were on a...
Okay.
What was
I
that
like
one?
those ones.
You can be pleasantly surprised by a talent who's never done a thing and can fake it till you make it.
Totally.
We were on a commercial, actually out here, we were at the Allure Gorge last year, but in the Rapids. Mm-hmm. First, I was, of course, shortchanged on my crew. I wanted 5 guys. I ended up with 3, myself included. Thankfully, the medic is a scuba diver, so she knows her way around water as well. So she was actually a huge help. The key grip didn't know how to tie a bowline. That was fun. We've got to tie off a boat in the middle of the rapids.
And he's a key grip.
Key grip. I think it was July or August, so it was pretty busy, slim pickings out there. But for something like this to bring somebody so green, I was fuming. So now we're in the middle of the rapids. Myself and I keep mentioning my buddy Alistair, literally holding this rowboat in some rapids, and we're chatting with the actor as we often do. And like, okay, so what's your rowing experience? He's like, oh, this is my first time. Pardon me? What? So they had auditioned a ton of rowers, and they didn't like the look of the rowers, the professionals, because they were like, the big rowboat, the dragon boaters, whatever. They went with an actor for his look over his skill. To be fair, he did great. He was phenomenal. He was a team player. He kept his cool. He must have been exhausted by the end of the day, but he was phenomenal. So it made my day a little bit easier. The key grip thing, that was...
Let's hear it for casting the wrong people.
Yeah. This is exactly what happened on the commercial where the guy couldn't run across the deck.
Yeah.
Same thing. They had actually asked us if we would look at the casting, because our opinion was just to get someone who's athletic enough to be able to perhaps at least learn this stuff.
Right.
Which wasn't overly difficult stuff. What the most difficult thing would have been to when jumping off the trampoline, just keeping the eyes up here and not looking down at where you're going. We had crash mats. It was like was like a child's play area. It was amazing.
Sounds like fun.
And I had fun just trying to explain things and get things going. But same thing. They asked for us to sort of dial in what we think is like our top 5 out of their top 10 or 20 or whatever. Yeah. So we did that, and they didn't use anyone on the whole thing. They just threw some other dude in this.
That's exactly it.
And he's great. He does have a beautiful smile.
Did he perform okay? Did it get? You got it done.
It got done, but really, it was a struggle.
He had to go again.
Yeah, they had to go again and again and again.
Yeah.
A different podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, going again and again.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it happens too often.
It does.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
So where are you headed now? You got documentaries, you said.
Yeah, on the radar, honestly, there isn't too much right now. I've got some dive instruction courses coming up. I do have a hopeful for a documentary coming up.
Is this your documentary?
No, it's not. It's actually something out of Quebec, but they're doing a handful of days in Toronto. So they found me.
Oh, okay.
They actually contacted me over a year ago, I guess. And I was hugely intrigued because it was about the Toronto Birthing Center. And I had just given birth. So when they called me about it, I was like all gung-ho for it. But I actually don't really remember the conversation at all. And then COVID was bad again last winter. Everything was shut down again. And they fell off the radar. They contacted me a couple weeks ago. So they're coming back to finally get what they missed.
Can you say what the documentary is on?
I don't know the full story yet.
Okay.
We're just in talks now, but it'll be me for it is an Indigenous story, I think, mixing culture, birth, and modern society kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to shooting something like, have you seen The Guardian with is it Kevin Costner and Ashton Kutcher or something like that, where he plays a deep sea rescue diver or something like that?
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It's like the helicopter rescues. And
Yeah, and it's sort of goes through. I think Costner plays like the head coach of this whole thing, whatever.
But
you
he's
remember
aging.
this movie?
He's an aging coach.
Yeah, and he's got some reservations and all this stuff, and Ashton Kutcher sort of takes the place of this guy in some regard. When you're shooting something like that, with the big swells and all that. They would never do that in the ocean, right? Or do they? Or what?
It's hard to say for sure.
Okay.
There is a tank in Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I've heard.
Pinewood owns it. Dying to go there. And it's an infinity pool, so over the edge is ocean, so you can see forever, so you can make it to the ocean. They've got the big hydraulic machines, so they can do the waves. And they've got, what are they called, like link docks or something? They're like big floating cubes, basically. So they can build dock, which I've actually used for many commercials, but they can build docks to get to wherever they need to on the pool. So they can get all that kind of stuff.
What a spectacular thing. Very cool.
I don't remember the movie, but I was asked, because I was a scuba diver in my youth, they were shooting in the ocean off the coast of Nova Scotia, and they had 2 American submarines sitting side by side, and there was this, I don't know what was going on, but I was asked to be one of the safety divers in the ocean between 2 American submarines, and I said, guys, you're going to end up rescuing me.
Yeah.
So I know my limitations here. Like, I've dove in Tobermory. Let's get real.
So regulation world out there is very different than Ontario. East Coast is not regulated by the Diver Certification Board of Canada in terms of film. So I've shot in Newfoundland a few times, but in pools. I guess we were out on the ocean, but not in the ocean. And the dive shop out in Newfoundland, they're my best friends. They're amazing at Ocean Quest.
Well, anyone in Newfoundland is the best friend.
That's an accurate statement.
Anytime I've shot in Newfoundland. I've done karate tournaments in Newfoundland. Yeah. I love Newfoundland.
I love Newfoundland. Yeah. And I mean, they're just so warm and welcoming. It was amazing. Totally. They shot Aquaman in Halifax, I want to say.
They did?
I think
Aquaman?
so. I believe so.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was
Maybe.
East Coast Canada or parts of it. Titanic was East Coast Canada.
Yeah.
So it'll always be my daughter's fault that I didn't get to go swimming with Jason Momoa.
I did a fight scene with Jason Momoa out on Signal Hill.
Oh, right on.
Newfoundland.
Yeah, sweet. On what show?
What's it called?
Oh, that show.
It's the one that nobody knows. No, actually,
That
it
good, eh?
is the one that most people like correct me on. Oh, why do I not? I never remember the name of this freaking show.
It'll
So
come to
good.
you.
They can look it up.
It's so dumb, but it was yeah, it was an awesome day.
Yeah.
My only time shooting in Newfoundland, and it was nighttime, all for the shoot that I was doing. So I didn't see anything, and it was winter was just hitting us from the side, like rain and snow and everything.
And you were on top of Signal Hill. Like
on
it's
top of
windy
Signal
as hell up there.
Yeah, it was one of those days where you just put yourself in one of those wonderful state of mind, and you think about other things. And but it was Jason Momoa and Signal Hill.
Yeah, so he was here for Slumberland. And they brought in an operator from out west. Ian, he's a cool guy. I've worked with him a couple times now because he was a topside operator and an underwater operator. So he could do all of it and whatever. And there was a lot of pool work. So they had me out as a tech for the housing on one of the days. And they they asked me if I could shoot the following week. And it was 2 years ago yesterday, I guess. In fact, because it was International Women's Day, the day that they asked me. I hadn't told anybody I was pregnant yet. I was exactly 3 months pregnant.
Oh.
And didn't tell anybody yet. I was honestly very nervous to kind of come out in our industry that I wouldn't get work. So I was kind of waiting until like either an opportune or like it was far too late. You know what I mean? Like I was just starting a show. And I figured that having a girl, International Women's Day, and having to turn down work was a good day to announce that I was pregnant. So as soon as the camera team asked me if I could get in the water the next week, I ran over to the special effects guy, Mike, and I was like, "Hey, Mike, what's the water temperature?" He's like, "Oh, we're keeping it at like 99. It's beautiful." He's like, "I hear they're going to bring 2 cameras in next week." I was like, "Yeah, but it can't be me." He's like, "Why not?" And I showed him my announcement picture, and everybody was just like, "Ah." So it was like exciting, but it'll always be Sydney's fault that I didn't get to go swimming with Aquaman.
Sydney.
She's going to see this podcast
Oh,
someday.
she
better.
will know.
Yeah,
she will know.
Yeah, we'll cut this part out for you so you can show her and remind her. Say, Mom, can I have a bedroom story? Yeah.
Yeah, that time that I didn't swim with Jason Momoa. That's all right. He'll be back. He loves it.
Yeah, he seems to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always back.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I actually know an actress out of Toronto who rides this is what she tells me. That she's in like I don't know, it's not a motorcycle gang, but it's a lot of people.
Okay.
And they all ride with Momoa and,
Oh, no way.
and some of his friends or something. Like
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know, from up here down, like south of the country. I have no idea. But it's kind of neat.
Where
They
do I
start
sign up?
start up here or something. Yeah, it sounds so badass.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swimming with Momoa, riding with Momoa, riding Momoa.
So
I don't know.
that one's a whole different story.
I don't know where we're going here.
Forrest Gump used to say that.
Yeah.
Rad Momoa.
That's funny. Jenny, I know what love is. Anyway.
That's cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, so.
So.
No, there's so much. Like, there's so much that you do. Wow. Like, what advice would you have to anybody that actually wants to learn to scuba dive right now? They're going to get a hold of carlyunderwater.com.
That's right. Yeah.
And do you teach anywhere other than Barrie?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll be teaching at a Barrie Scuba House.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the pool stuff we would do it at Barrie because we've got the pool. It's nice, warm, indoors, heated, salt water. It's beautiful. Open water, I'd be, open to coming, down here or wherever we need to go that there's open water.
Grand River? No, kidding.
Yeah. Nobody wants this one.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't see anything. It's not
So
really.
you mentioned 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got mine, I was only 15. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how long it took. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you can do it in less. You could do
but we did
4
it,
days.
We did it for 2 or 3 hours a day for like so many weeks.
Okay.
Is that what you do, or is it a 5-day thing? You have to commit 5
Either
days? Okay.
Yeah. However, it needs to be arranged. So
Now, is it a one-on-one deal, or are you on a class?
can be, depends who signs up.
Okay.
Technically, I can teach up to 8. I wouldn't teach 8 at a time. That's ludicrous. 4 would be a happy place. 2, you guys would get better instruction.
Yeah, that's sort of ideal.
Yeah.
And is there
But the price doesn't change based on how many people are involved, let's say, right?
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Is there a qualification with regards to their ability to swim?
Not a certification so much as a comfortability.
Okay.
That's why we kind of suggest a Discover Scuba Dive first. See if you like it. It's $100 before, spending, I think it's $600 to do your open water. Like before you jump full in
Sure.
to this course,
It's
which
like
somebody
taking
like me makes sense to do all in.
Yeah.
Because I was a water baby, whatever. But if you're unsure of it, you could always do a Discover Scuba Dive just to try it out and see if you like it.
I've never heard anybody else doing that, the Discover thing. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's a good holiday thing.
You can
It's
do it
really
at the
good.
airport. Take a fan flight.
Yeah, it's a great
you go
idea.
up for one time and see if you like flying before you commit to giving them thousands of dollars to learn to fly.
Cool.
So same thing what you're
Same
doing.
idea.
But I've never heard another dive shop doing it. Maybe they do,
Oh, they
but
do.
I don't know.
They all do.
Okay.
Yeah. They all do.
Interesting.
Just a try dive or Discover Scuba Dive. Depends what agency for how they word it.
Very
I imagine
cool.
a lot of people are like me. They just want to swim with pretty fish.
Yeah.
They don't really want to go look or underwater where you don't see, all you see is brown. Or how does that work?
So I've got a group of friends. Actually, I'm visiting one after I leave you guys because she lives in Cambridge.
Sweet. Wow.
Yeah. She
Any chance I know them?
maybe. Her
So
name's
now
Sarah?
my guilt,
We'll talk about that after.
my guilt I've been feeling for Carly driving all this way.
No, I'm pairing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Pairing it with a friend. But yeah, we've been on a ton of dives just because we wanted to blow some bubbles. So like during COVID, the first time I got to see my friends, we were going scuba diving and we were joking because we would put our regulators in to give each other a hug. Topside.
Oh,
Right.
that's
So we were like
good.
in the parking
Yeah.
lot and we'd put
We're not
all of our
breathing
gear
on each
on. We're
other.
not breathing on each other.
hilarious.
So we could actually like, go nearer. And then once you're in the water, there was no fear, but there was also no visibility. So we were literally holding on to each other to go for a swim just because we wanted to get in the water.
And can you imagine having COVID and using a rebreather? You could give yourself COVID.
Yeah,
I
true.
don't think that's the way it works.
I'm gonna cut.
There's your edit point.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've lost.
You know,
I just
I-
jumped the shark.
When I was out in BC, I was working and I was being shuttled, and the shuttle driver told me that they love diving in the murky, nasty water.
Yeah.
That's their preference, and the darker it is at night, all this other stuff.
Okay, so night diving.
What the hell?
Night diving's my favorite. I
What is going on?
love night diving. Diving in the mud. I mean, it's not really my thing, but like if I really need to blow some bubbles, it's like your Zen place. Like you go underwater and you can't smell anybody. You can't talk to anybody. It clears your head. Science fact: we're all mammals. Something called the mammalian effect takes place. So when you're like really, really super stressed and you go and you just at the end of the day you need to have that like hot shower and just get it all out.
Sure.
Right? Science. That's not just because you feel like having a
All
hot
your
shower.
senses are like,
Yeah.
going off.
So splashing your face. Go to the bathroom, just splash your face, and it like takes a weight off your chest.
yeah.
Again,
yeah.
science. It releases all sorts of endorphins. It triggers the mammalian effect. So it actually protects your core and sends triggers to your brain to be happy into survival mode.
Right on.
So water actually does that. And I'm one of those people that are hugely affected by it. So if I'm really stressed, I'll go for a walk by the beach. Just seeing water triggers it at me. But really splashing your face or just getting in the water, it just does it for me. So
it doesn't matter what water.
not
to
always.
you. I mean, obviously, people like me who I'm sure everyone watching this is learning that I'm a pussy when it comes to water. But it's more just like, most people are kind of afraid of like the turtle or whatever's under the water. It's gonna come up and snatch their
Fish are
ass
friends,
cheek or
not
something.
food. Yeah.
I don't know.
So when I was in Australia, I was literally having that exact conversation. We were watching the sunset in this like most magical place on the western coast of Australia. And I was actually having that conversation where, I'm not afraid under here. Like nothing goes wrong when I'm in the water. And then all of a sudden I screamed bloody murder and ran back on shore. And
Really?
there was a crab attached to my foot.
No way.
Right? That's like I'm preaching about how wonderful the world is and how nothing can hurt you in here. I got hurt. So, I mean, I get it.
Good. I'm kind of glad that this has happened.
But like I don't have that, like the fear of sharks or that anything's going to hurt me under there. You know,
But that's why people want clear water.
So they can see what's there.
So they can just see it.
And I mean, you want clear water because you want to see what you're doing. Part of the point of scuba diving is to see cool shit that other people can't see.
Really, yes. That is really the reason I like the idea.
Exactly. So yeah, diving in murky, whatever. So like
I do dive in lakes. Like I'm not totally like that.
Yeah, but if you're going to spend 45 minutes underwater, don't you want to see something?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I totally do.
Which is why we go to Tobermory, or it's why we go to the St. Lawrence River or Georgian Bay, and why we don't always go to Lake Ontario. Right? Like I was there's a shot on Lock and Key that we shot in Lake Ontario. And I kept going like, why are we shooting it in Lake Ontario, guys? Like we can go elsewhere and actually see the shot. It's a silhouette. That's all you get.
Where else would you go?
Georgian Bay.
Like, okay, Georgian Bay.
Yeah. If we had to shoot in open water, I can promise you visibility in Georgian Bay. You might get lucky in Lake Ontario. I've done several shoots in Lake Ontario, and I've never gotten lucky in Lake Ontario.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good to know, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a silty bottom. Everybody's stirring up shit. It just... we were on a boat that day, and we went out into the middle of the lake, and I would literally hang off the back of the boat and stuck my mask underwater going, nope, can't shoot here. Carry on to the next spot. We'd go 5 minutes away and try again. But if we were to go up to Tobermory, which I've convinced people to shoot in several times, if we go to Tobermory, I can see. Not a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, you also have to know where you're going. But you mentioned night diving.
Yeah.
Night diving is spectacular. Like, night diving is a photographer's dream because, as I mentioned earlier, you lose your color spectrum. At night, you have to light it. You have to use lights to see what you're doing. If you take me back to Bonaire, there's a site called Salt Pier, and it's literally a pier where all their shipments come in, whatever. And so on all the pillars from the pier is all an artificial reef. If you go there during the day, there's color because it's kind of shallow. But when you go there at night and you're lighting it up, you get to add the light and all those colors just pop in your face, and you're only lighting what you want to see.
Yeah, that's the only dynamic.
It's the only thing that you're seeing. Yeah, It's beautiful.
Wow,
absolutely. I love night diving.
It's really dark though.
It's not. So my camera can see in the dark. And my dive instructor that gave me my instructor certification, so on Bonaire a couple weeks ago, he was fascinated by my camera, and he had never had a diver come to Bonaire using my camera, but he knew about my camera. I have a Sony A7S II. And what he wanted to do was actually go out and just boost the ISO, just absolutely blow it out to see if the camera could actually see in the dark. And we proved that it could.
Oh, wow.
And what was really neat is... there's a small being called an ostracod. It's a bioluminescent being. It basically looks like, I mean, you can't really see it, but underwater, once a month, they light up. It's when they're mating. It only happens after, I think, 3 days after a full moon.
So do I.
Yeah, there you go. They light up with like these 3 little bioluminescent lights, and we actually caught it on camera.
Oh, wow.
And he had never, as far as I know, nobody's ever actually shot ostracods, and we were able to with my camera a couple weeks ago.
An ostracod.
Yeah, it was really neat. It's just a bioluminescent being.
Or are you gonna send this to somebody?
I don't know.
Say,
I don't know. He wants to actually rent my camera and shoot more and actually study them. This was just an impromptu little test that we did basically the night before I left. And in return, he wanted to see what my camera could do, and I used him to light a shot for me that I've been dying to do for years, where I actually went out and painted a shipwreck with light. So everything was dark, and him and I swam around the shipwreck with light, and my camera was on a 30-second exposure. You can see it on my Instagram. It's one of my favorite shots right now. I'm so proud of it. It was like a shot that I dreamt about and thought about, and I have to print it. Let's put it that way. It's got to go on my wall.
Okay. Underwater. Okay, cool. I'm really stoked to go on your Instagram and check all this stuff out.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was the second shipwreck that I've painted, and I'm a big fan of this method now. It's so much fun because you have no idea what it's going to bring up, and you don't know. There's a lot of guesswork to it, I guess, but it took 2 dives and probably 20 shots to actually get it right. And we did get it. And as soon as I got it, I was like, yeah, and gave him the camera. Your turn. You go play. I'm done.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is there anywhere anyone's never really been still? I mean, there must be so much water and so many other ships that have never been seen.
Ooh, yes.
Right?
I have a secret project I'm not really allowed to talk about.
Do it.
Just whisper.
Yeah, we won't tell anyone.
We won't tell anyone.
Let's just say I'm going on a shipwreck hunt this summer.
Okay.
With somebody who thinks that they've got some very good information about a very famous shipwreck that nobody's discovered yet.
Where
Really?
Where are you going?
We'll say that when nobody's listening.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I can't tell you, or I'd have to bring you with me.
Man.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
Like seeing
I'm really
the
looking forward to it.
unseen or swimming the unswam. You know, that really is like, that's got to be the best feeling.
Yeah, I guess.
Discovery is the best thing.
Yeah, I haven't personally, I guess, discovered anything yet.
No,
we did go a couple years ago, kind of just for fun. A couple of the staff from Divers Den went on a day off just out in Lion's Head up in Georgian Bay because we had heard that there might be some wreckage somewhere. And we went, and sure enough, one of my friends, Mia, actually did find the ship's helm, which was really cool because we were kind of told the area that it was in, but it was more of a mission just to, go kick around and see if we could find it. And we did. It was like 25 feet of water, I think. No tanks, so that was breath hold. I found a fishing lure on it, so I swam down to go get that.
That's cool. The relics must be cool.
Yeah.
That's sort of the what you're into. You like the
I love that
the
stuff.
relics and stuff.
So, if you found a ship right now underwater, can you take something off that?
No.
There's laws.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So there's no finders, keepers, losers.
Not
weepers.
anymore.
Well, yeah, of course we have a government.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, so you have to report it to like the Archaeological Society or something like that, and then basically the government moves in and tells everybody they're not allowed to dive on it, and then they send their Parks Canada or whatever in to actually go salvage what might need salvaging for study or whatever, and then if it's I guess safe, then they would open it to the public at that point.
This sounds like the Mike Meacher thing. We had a friend on who's an archaeologist.
Oh, cool.
And just similar idea. The government is like, wait. As soon as they hear you're digging in there, they're like, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Hence the wreck that I have heard of is super top secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a. In fact, the person who was bringing me out on this didn't tell me the name of the wreck, and he actually slipped it last week. So I didn't even know what the project was. Mm-hmm. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, shit, now I know why.
Kind of hoping you're about to slip it now.
Not gonna.
Oh.
Won't get it out of me. No way.
No slipping.
Nope.
As soon as we cut this, she's going to announce it.
Well, yeah, but if you guys have me back after we found it, then I can be all
now that's brilliant.
There you go.
Well, when are you doing this? When's
as soon as the ice breaks. We're gonna get in as soon as the ice breaks because the water.
Like a commercial.
Yeah, the water visibility will be the best. It's before the algae blooms. It's before anything is grown. So everything is settled over the winter. It'd be beautiful to go in now, but we can't physically get the boat to the location right now. So as soon as the ice breaks, so I'm expecting a call like 2 weeks into April to just get her done.
Cool.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Well, Carly, do you mind signing our table before you leave?
I would love to. Yeah, I got to think of something clever to write. There's some clever things on here.
Well, that you clearly
I've read them all. I don't think so.
You haven't read it. Yeah,
I personally like this. My balls are rested against the sport.
Yes, that's our favorite one.
Good buddy of ours.
Here, Carly, and please, I know I say this every time, but you can pick anywhere on this whole two-piece.
I see.
You can.
Everybody
but
just
everyone just
here.
They're like,
they just don't want to get up.
I got to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't gotta. Well,
no, I'm gonna. I
like,
just got to think of something clever.
Draw bubbles.
Oh, I like it. I wish I could draw my logo, but I'm not an artist. I usually just draw like a little mat. Oh, okay, that's what I'll draw.
Okay. Yeah, pick a spot.
Yeah, do it up.
Anywhere you want.
Yeah.
You can stand up. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it on the wrong side of the table or anything. Oh, look.
Is that a butt?
kind of like a butt.
Oh, it's that's awesome. It's good.
For those listening, she's drawing a scuba diving mask with a regulator hose and bubbles.
One of these days we'll snap a pic of this,
Yeah.
and throw it up.
That's brilliant.
What do we got? Thanks for having me.
Let's go again.
Yeah, let's go again. Love it. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you guys.
Carly, thank you. Yeah, no, this is great. So, carlyunderwater.com.
That's me.
And they can get a hold of you or anybody,
Yeah.
film-wise or otherwise.
Yep, at Carly Underwater for any social media, Facebook or Instagram. I don't tweet.
Anything
Who does
else?
that anymore?
Anything else you want to say or plug or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
No,
to.
just at Carly Underwater.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm anticipating a really, really big season, a really good season.
Hey, The Way Home's back.
Yeah, The Way Home's coming back. I'm really excited about that. I will say another company and I, we're not joining forces, but we are collaborating so Carly Underwater can expand.
Nice.
Amazing.
So we'll be dealing with some rooftop safety and high angle rigging and things like that as
Oh,
well.
fascinating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You learned how to tie a bowline? That's so funny.
Oh my God, it was terrifying.
I guess.
Trying to
That's a little
literally
crazy.
rig a boat in the middle of rapids, and this guy was just like, "Will this not do?" I'm like,
No.
"What did you just tie a shoelace? Come on!"
Put a bow in it.
Oh my God! It was seriously. When I said bowline, I think he actually thought bow.
Oh, I never thought of it. Wow.
Yeah. No, the knots. Yeah, I can teach you to do that blindfolded underwater, no problem. No, it's a friend's company reached out and asked, how they could get involved, and I was like, hey, this would benefit me too. So grow a little bit that way. Again, I've mentioned my buddy Alistair. He's training to be the next me as well, so he's got my camera in his hand every chance he gets.
Sweet.
So that Carly Underwater will have 2 camera operators. We're getting a little bit more into rentals this year, so our inventory is going up. All really good things. We're really, writers' strike aside, hopefully that doesn't actually happen or affect us. Hopefully they clear the air before we get that far. But until that time, I'm anticipating a huge season.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Stellar.
Yeah. It should be fun.
Awesome.
Bring it.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. This was
Really
fun.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you,
was
Carly.
awesome.
That's fascinating.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
Okay, D. Got it.